Hello fishing friends, this is Matthew with Outfishing 13. If you own a Zebco Authentic 11 Micro and you want to know how to get it back into top operating condition, stay tuned. I'm going to show you how to disassemble, lube, and oil one of these Zebco Micro 11s. If you like this video, give me a big thumbs up and subscribe to my channel, because I'll have a lot of other videos coming up showing you how to service and repair a Zebco reel. Also, if you've noticed, I like to wear flat caps. I make these are custom made flat caps from old wool coats. You can find my Etsy page called Foothill Shadow Caps. Take a look and order one. All right, to get started, you're just going to need a couple simple tools. Maybe a pair of needle nose pliers, a flat screwdriver. I like to have a small one and a big one. You're going to need some reel oil and some good reel lube. This is reel grease. Some guys use petroleum jelly or Vaseline for their reel lube, and that's okay. I'm also going to use some WD-40. Instead of using like some kind of solvent, a harsh solvent like brake clean, I'm going to use WD-40. Also, I have a little can of air. So let me explain why I use WD-40 instead of brake clean. This reel has a lot of plastic parts on it, and I've actually used brake clean in the past, and it will dissolve the plastic. So use some kind of plastic safe solvent. WD-40 is a good solvent and lubricant, and it does a great job of cleaning up the inside of your reel and get rid of all the old grease. Okay, let's get started. The first thing I'm going to do is going to take off this front nose cap and take all the parts on the front out. So on these Zebco 11s and many of the Authentic 33s, all you do is twist it counterclockwise a little turn and pull it off. To take this pressure cone off, just hold on to the handle and turn it counterclockwise, and it should come right off. Inspect the inside. You need to grease this inside, but this one needs to be cleaned up some, and everything looks like it's in good shape. If you need to, you may need to order a new one. Okay, the next step is to take off a little snap ring here to take the spool off. I just use a flat screwdriver, place it on this snap ring, and get a little push, and it comes right off. Just like that. Set that aside and take your spool off. Now there's 4 washers on here. They generally will stick to theirs, so just set it aside, we'll clean those up. Okay, the next thing that comes out is your drag adjustment washer. This has 2 pieces, has a metal washer, and this one's kind of springy, and then it has another washer here with teeth on it. Set that aside. This little drag adjustment pin has little gears on it right here. It just comes out, so you can tap that out, and then when you take that out, the drag adjustment wheel comes off. Set that aside. Okay, so we're done taking all of this out. Okay, the next step is to take off the back here. It just requires a little turn to the left and pull it off. Okay, let's set that aside. Okay, and then we got the inside here that we want to disassemble so that we can get in there and clean everything out. I like to use my big flat screwdriver and undo this screw. This is a screw that goes all the way through to the other side. It has a spacer on it. You can change sides if you want of your handle. So take that out and take your handle off. This reel, in order to get this wheel out right here, this gear, you have to take out a couple little brass bushings. There's one on this side and one right here. And these are kind of tricky, you got to work them out. So you just go on one side and then the other and keep working it out. There's one. These are exactly the same, so it really doesn't matter if you get them mixed up. And then there's this one right here. Just keep working it on one side and then the other. Okay, there's the other one. Okay, now this gear should come out. Now pay attention, you got this little post down in here. See that little post? That's a little post that helps the clicker engage when you engage this clicker right here. So when you take it apart, just make sure that it's down on this side. You really can't get it mixed up and put it up there, but just make sure you're putting it in the right way. So take and pull this out, set it aside, and then pull out your main shaft. It'll have a bearing on there, and that's everything. We're not going to take this little thing out right here. We could, but it's not necessary. I'm just going to leave it there. So that's everything that's out of there. There's a little clicker there. We don't need to take that off. There's a little clicker here that's got a little screw. We don't need to take that off to clean it. So let's go ahead and clean it. Okay, to clean it, I've got a little chemical brush. You can get these. These are used for all kinds of handy things. You can buy a bunch of them, half a dozen of them for a couple bucks at your local hardware store. All I'm going to do to clean this out is I'm going to take some WD-40 and I'm going to spray the inside with a little bit, not a lot, doesn't need a lot. And I'm going to get in here and I'm going to start brushing it out. Spray out a little bit more with some air. Nice and clean. Look at all the dirt I got out together. So we're just going to clean each part one at a time. I'll start with the front cap. Clean that off with soapy water and let it dry out because you don't want any oil in. The oil will just collect dust and dirt. So you just want to give that a good wipe. That one's good to go. This one's brand new. I got a brand new cap for this, and so I don't need to clean that. But if it's dirty and gunked up, clean it out. Okay, this right here just needs a little wipe. It's pretty clean on the inside, so I'm just going to wipe this out a little bit, get it cleaned up and ready for new grease. Inspect the inside closely. If you need to replace the cone, you may still be able to get parts from Tackle Service, which is the Zebco parts store online. Set that aside. Clean off your little snap ring. Clean up this. We're going to take off these two washers and wipe this surface down here. That'll grease off. Take these two washers off here and wipe this down. Okay, that spool's ready to go back together. I'm going to take and wipe this down. Okay. Now some things can be cleaned off with a harsh solvent like brake clean, and I might do that with these, but I think I'm just going to wipe them down good. Okay. I'm going to carefully wipe these little fiber washers off so I can be ready to apply new grease to them. I'm going to take a little bit of brake clean and clean off this. nice and clean. Okay. All right, so the last piece I'm going to clean off is this gear here. This has a little piece that goes in there. Has a little copper washer there. It's a little wear plate. Okay, there's all the parts. We're ready to reassemble it now. So reassembling this, most everything uses grease. There's a few little places that you'll add a little bit of oil, but most of it is grease. So we're going to go back in the reverse order. So the first thing we're going to do is apply a little bit of grease on the inside of this gear. So we're going to apply some grease on the inside of here and put that little stop plate back in. There we go. We'll just work that around a little bit. And that's all that's needed for there. Okay. Next we're going to apply some grease on here and put our bearing back in with a couple little drops of oil. Okay, we'll put some grease on the gear here. It doesn't need very much. And then we'll put a little bit of grease on this gear here. Slip that down in there. Okay, with this in now, we're ready to put this on. We need to make sure that we put some grease here. We'll put this little washer, copper washer back on there. Okay, we can put some lube here and lube here. That's where the bushing is going to set. Okay, we'll drop it in here. Make sure that little pin is pointed down. There you go. Now we can put these bushings back in. Put this one in and use this to push it in. Put this one on and use our screw to push it in. Okay, perfect. So everything is done on the back here, and I could put the cover on now. I don't need to. I'm just going to leave it off for now, and I'm going to work on the other side. Okay, the first thing that we need to go back into this side is the drag adjustment wheel and the little shaft there. So I'm going to apply just a little bit of grease to this. It really doesn't need, but just a little tiny bit on that side and that side. This side with the little slot there goes in there. And then you can put this little gear in there. It needs to set all the way down in there, so you might have to turn it a little bit. There, now it sets all the way down. Okay, and then this, I'm going to put a little bit of grease on the back here. Just a couple of little spots. And then I'm going to put the adjustment plate. If I put it like that, just want to make sure it gets adjusted in there good. Put a little bit of grease here. You just grease it as you go. Put the spring washer in there. Then one of these washers, it has a groove in there so that it locks in place for this drag washer. So I just want to apply a little bit of grease. Drop it in there. Apply a little bit of grease. Put one of my fiber drag washers on. And now the spool. So I can put some grease on this. So that's okay. Next, some grease. And the snap ring. Okay, I'm going to set that aside. This little pin right here, this is your pin for catching your line, and it needs some grease on it. It needs some grease right here. So this rubs against this. It also needs grease in there. You can also grease right here because that little plastic piece, it rides on there and it goes around and around. Each time you turn it, it rides on there. So we need to make sure that we have grease on here. Plenty of grease all the way around. Okay. Make sure you have some grease on here. You can push it aside. See, put some grease in there. Okay, and we can put this on. I'm going to go ahead and put the handle on there so I can spin it down all the way. Use my big screwdriver. Okay, and then finish spinning this down while I'm holding the handle. Okay. Okay, and the clicker's on and working. And the anti-reverse works just fine. So we'll put the back on and the nose cone on, and then we'll wipe it down. Oh yeah, working great. I'll wipe it down. And there you have it, all serviced, oiled, greased, and ready to go fishing. Thanks for watching. If you like this video, please subscribe and give me a big thumbs up. And I'll see you on the next reel repair video.